Sadly, though,
But
these
how?
girls don't know what's behind.
These were just for fun, but people actually die. Let's get into it.
The internet has seen its fair share of participatory challenge-style trends. While most are
Yeah.
innocuous, today we'll be looking at the rare instances of them becoming fatal.
Really?
Let's begin. Death by
Why is
selfie.
taking a
You know, it was
selfie?
only about 15 years ago that simply snapping a
15 years
photo
ago.
of yourself and
Yeah.
uploading it to social media was seen as novel. Like, selfies were viewed
And
as
when-
cutting edge at one time, if you can believe it.
Selfie view at cutting edge. People don't die. The only time you die by a selfie, you accidentally have someone who actually wanted to take you out, and you accidentally forgot to blur out the address where you at, or you accidentally say, then yeah.
An unspoken internet challenge came with the advent of the
Wait,
selfie.
internet
That challenge,
challenge?
of course, being who could take the craziest
Nah.
one. And unfortunately, some would find themselves in perilous,
why
life-threatening
people find
situations
this
trying
fun?
to get a good selfie,
Who thought
especially
doing
early
something
on.
like this
Take, for
would
example, the
actually
tragic
fun?
case of 3 teenage girls,
3?
Essa Ricker, Kelsey Webster, and Savannah Webster. Their selfie photo is often cited as
Wow.
being the first linked to fatalities. But how could something this seemingly innocuous looking end badly? In October,
How can something like that can be a dangerous thing to do? How can being taking a selfie kill you? No way a selfie can kill you.
while at the tracks, the girls were lucky enough to spot a train coming through. A pretty good find if you're trying to take cool pictures. And it seemed they all had the same idea that many teenagers around the world were having at the time.
Don't tell me.
Let's get a selfie. It's a pretty cool photo. All of their faces just full of glee.
Selfie.
Sadly, though,
But
these
how?
girls don't know what's behind them. An eastbound locomotive was approaching from behind at the same time.
Okay.
But it seems because of all the noise involved with the train passing them, they failed to notice the sound of the other one coming. Needless to say, the girls were totally unaware of the life-threatening situation they had found themselves in by taking this selfie.
Why take the selfie like that? Wouldn't it be bad if you took the selfie by the train or like somewhere closer, but taking a selfie like that and then you not hearing the other train? For me, it's not that hard to notice another train right there coming to you. It's not that hard. How y'all got this slow and then no?
The oncoming eastbound train operators watched in horror as the girls stood almost motionless on the tracks, unflinching, with their faces seemingly fixated on the smartphone used to take the picture. Train crew members did everything they could in the short time they had, but sadly they couldn't get the girls to move, despite yelling, blowing horns, and making as much noise as possible. They were in their own little world. An engineer from the train is quoted as saying, totally oblivious to what was bearing down on them. A Facebook post can be found on Savannah's page with the caption, standing right by a train, this is awesome, unquote. In what could have only been seconds later, the eastbound train, which was moving at 39 miles an hour, struck all 3 of the unsuspecting teens. When the eastbound train finally came to a stop, the crew leapt off and rushed to the scene of the carnage as fast as humanly possible. And what they found was devastating. Essa and Kelsey had seemingly been killed instantly, with only Savannah surviving the impact, but she was in critical condition. The teenager was raced to the hospital. There it was discovered that she had dozens of broken bones, internal bleeding, numerous blood clots, and a severe brain injury. The 13-year-old was put on life support and underwent multiple surgeries in the hopes of saving her life. Tragically, though, doctors determined Savannah would never recover from her traumatic brain injury, and 3 days later, she was taken off of life support and passed away. The case of Savannah, Essa, and Kelsey is credited by many sources as being the first lethal incident resulting from people taking a dangerous selfie, which I think is quite saddening considering—
I'm still on this thing of who thought to do a challenge like this? Who thought to say, hey, let me see if I can do a challenge where I can take the weird, unexpected selfie and nobody gonna match it. And whoever did, go ahead and match it. Who made that?
Seemingly innocent what they were doing was. This selfie is certainly an excusable
Wait,
one in my
how-
eyes, as
how
it was an
is
unfortunate
innocent?
freak accident.
There's
But the
no way
same
innocent.
can't be said for our next case. You really gotta wonder what this guy was thinking. The Russian grenade selfie.
Russian?
In November of 2017, in the city of Lubinsk,
Is this all going to just be about selfie? Is that all I hear is selfie there, selfie that, selfie. Like, is that all it's going to be about? Or is there going to be like more tragedy coming later on?
Russia, a 26-year-old man by the name of Alexander Sasha Chechik had managed to get his hands on a pretty dangerous weapon, a grenade. The man snapped selfies with it and sent many photos of himself holding the grenade to friends and family members in an effort to get a reaction. It was all fun and games until a friend received an interesting photo of the grenade. The friend says,
Where are you? Everything is fine?
Alex later responds,
It depends on what you consider normal.
this photo was attached. And hey, you guys at home watching, notice anything about the grenade? The fucking pin is pulled out of it. Uh-oh.
What? I say before he even showed me the picture, I'm blurring. I say, yeah, he didn't put the pin is not out, right? I was wrong. I was definitely wrong.
Moments after sending this image, the grenade exploded, killing Alex instantly and reportedly blowing his body in half.
He should already
Alex
know
was later
about
discovered by police
not
in
that
his car,
hard.
and they took an extremely graphic photo showing the aftermath of the blast that I can't show here.
That's why he pulled the pin. It wasn't like a suicide homicide where he actually wanted to kill himself. No, he didn't believe that a grenade couldn't explode if you just hold it. So that's why he pulled the pin. He is stupid.
The incident was determined to be an accidental death and will be
In
the
no
last
way was
dangerous
accidental
demise-causing selfie
There's
that
no
I'll be
way.
discussing. The
Don't-
I hate to tell you,
But
but
Ice
one of
Bucket-
the most positive
Ice
and well-meaning internet challenges has a death associated with it, and the way
Ice
that
Bucket
this
gonna be a
happened is
death?
something you would never expect or predict.
We are following breaking news out of Campbellsville, Kentucky, where several firefighters
I
were
expect
seriously
the Ice
injured
Bucket
after
to be on
helping
the news.
college students in the ALS
Boy,
Ice
injured.
Bucket Challenge.
The Ice Bucket Challenge was
Yeah.
a worldwide phenomena that aimed to raise money for those struggling with ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease.
Bro, if you watch those on TikTok, they don't actually freeze the ice, or they don't use a bunch of ice. Like they fill the ice with a bunch of water, let the ice sit down until it freeze with the water, and then they pour it on them. That's it. Oh my god.
While the condition is well known by the public now, 10 years ago that wasn't really the case, and you have the Ice Bucket Challenge to thank for the awareness. The trend of people dumping ice water on each other to bring attention to ALS on social media began in 2014. First participants were athletes who personally knew friends and colleagues suffering from the disease. From there, the recorded challenges went viral, spreading to the greater internet. Much of its spread was thanks to a built-in component of the challenge itself. You know, when you performed it after you got the icy drench, the challenger was supposed to challenge somebody else to do it. So it's like a chain reaction of sorts. And before you knew it, everyone from YouTubers to bona fide mainstream celebrities were participating. All in the name of raising awareness and collecting funding in the hopes of finding an ALS cure. Aside from celebrities, you also had a slew of everyday people, schools, and sports teams getting behind the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge cause. And sadly, it's one of these smaller scale ice bucket ventures that would end in tragedy. This is 41-year-old Anthony Grider of Louisville, Kentucky. Long before this story taking place, the man had dedicated his life to helping others and saving people, working as a firefighter and paramedic. The man was said to have been an uplifting individual, and because of his merit, he was made captain of Campbellsville Fire and Rescue in Kentucky, which is where this story actually transpires. When Tony heard that the local community was banding together in a show of support to help find a cure for a destructive disease, he was all in to help them. On August 21st of 2014, Tony, along with other firefighters from the Campbellsville Fire Department, were helping the local marching band at Campbellsville University. The band was participating in the viral Ice Bucket Challenge and wanted to do it in a big yet unique way. The plan was to have Tony and some additional firemen get in the fire truck's ladder and bucket, raise it over the marching band members, and then spray the group with water from above. In, what was supposed to be a fun showcase of support for those struggling with ALS. When the time for the ALS ceremony came, many community members were in attendance. One photographer snapped a photo of the scene, the image showcasing the inspiring moment right as the band was being drenched in water, dispatched by Tony and a couple of other firemen. After the challenge was filmed, Tony and the crew were descended in the bucket ladder back down to the ground. But at some point during this descent, the bucket came in close proximity to an electrical line. While neither the bucket or Tony ever physically touched the line, the electrical current from it was powerful enough to close the gap. Tony and the other firemen were instantaneously electrocuted by the high voltage current, incapacitating the men and knocking electricity out to the...
That's what happened. I thought it was because the ice bucket. No, it was because they accidentally hit the line when they were coming down from doing the ice bucket challenge. Dang. So it couldn't be the ice bucket fault. The ice bucket challenge fault to their demise. It couldn't.
Out to the surrounding area. The inspiring ceremony quickly turned into a living nightmare. The electrocuted firemen were eventually recovered from the bucket and rushed to the hospital, with the community traumatized but hopeful that they would survive. It wouldn't be weeks until the fates of these men became public knowledge. 2 of them were released from the hospital and made a full recovery. Unfortunately, Tony's case was far more severe. He had taken the brunt of the electric shock and was in critical condition for close to a month. Sadly, on September 21st, it was announced that Tony had succumbed to his electrical injury and was pronounced dead. A public funeral would be held in the man's honor, which included a procession of fire trucks and hundreds of local residents coming together in mourning. Months later, Tony was memorialized with a statue at Taylor Regional Hospital. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the segment, you never would have expected the death to happen the way that it did. Death by hot chip challenge. The consumption of spicy foods like peppers and hot sauces has long garnered attention online. There have been entire YouTube channels that have made names for them.
I'll do like a bunch of hot sauce and stuff. Even the spicy one and burn my tongue. I don't mind doing that. But when it comes down to a one chip, hey, you can call me a bitch for it? Sorry for cursing, but you can call me a baby for it. But I'm still not doing it. I'm not doing that one chip challenge.
You could go as far as to
can't actually stand hot stuff. Like that's why a lot of people don't really do hot stuff like that. Because you see a bunch of YouTuber, TikToker, but they got immune to it to a point where they took so much hot stuff that they're immune to it. I know people can't do
foods. This usually takes the form of respiratory distress or anaphylactic allergic reactions. It's also possible that someone could experience complications from vomiting, such as choking or even esophageal rupture. While such cases are extremely rare, one must enter the arena of spice with caution. Which brings us to the case of the hot chip challenge as we know it involves the consumption of this particular snack food product, the Pocky One Chip Challenge chip. Encased in a coffin-shaped cardboard box embossed with skulls is the Pocky chip, a large tortilla chip dusted with powders extracted from Carolina Reaper peppers, Sichuan peppers, and scorpion peppers. The chip's potency has been estimated by some to be at over 2 million Scoville heat units,
a pain level described by a chili expert as equivalent to eating molten lava.
While certainly a hyperbolic description, if you watch videos online of people eating these things, well, there's no better way to put it. They look like they're about to fucking die. The Pocky One Chip Challenge instructs users to eat the one chip and then not drink any water or liquids for a whole hour. You're encouraged to film this process and publish it online.
What the one chip is, they want to see your tolerance and see if you can last that 30. I'll say 30 minutes to 30 seconds to an hour without drinking anything. And you can't, then you fail. And a lot of people feel like halfway into the minutes or seconds, a lot of people just give up right there, like halfway. Cause at first they'd be like, "Yep, I can do it. I can do it." Then right at that 30-minute mark, done. They want ice cream. They need milk, water, soda, a bag of ice, and they be already done. And after they already get all that, they cool down them out quickly.
Line as proof, hence the viral nature of this fad. The Pocky's challenge became quite successful, and the potent chip could be commonly found in gas stations and grocery stores around the U.S. after it went viral. But the growth of the fad was not without its health-concerning hang-ups.
And they
Pocky
did have
apparently became concerned that at-risk individuals such as children and pregnant women could be harmed by their challenge. So to cover their ass, they later added a warning label that recommended such groups avoid the challenge altogether. But as you might expect, kids who were hyped off of the social media craze, they could care less about a label and wanted to get in on the one-chip trend and impress their friends. Many children would be hospitalized after participating, triggering subsequent bannings of the chip.
A sad story out of Massachusetts where a teen who took part in a spicy tortilla chip challenge has died.
Harris Woloba, a 14-year-old from Worcester, Massachusetts, was in class at Doherty Memorial High School when one of his...
I forgot about him. He actually did die over the one chip challenge. And I forgot like how he died from that chip. But all I know, he died just by eating it. That's all I know. I don't know how.
One of his friends offered him a Pocky One chip. Harris had apparently been wanting to try the challenge, so he ate the chip, suffering through the pain while in class. Eventually, Harris developed a stomach ache and got sent to the nurse's office. And there, he confessed to eating the Pocky chip. The nurse then contacted the boy's mother and informed her about the situation. Soon after, the mom came to pick up Harris. On the way home, he reportedly started to feel better, and the mother considered the Pocky-induced complications resolved. But the chip was just getting started. Later in the day, at around 4:30 p.m., as Harris was supposed to be getting ready for a high school basketball...
Where is that cool? Like, y'all didn't give him nothing to cool down to hit, like, the heat? Like, normally halfway in the challenge, you're supposed to just give up and just go straight for something cool. Nobody did that. That's the reason why he died. Because y'all allow him to sit there for an hour to the whole day with that heat just boiling up in his stomach all the time.
Basketball team tryout, he was discovered unconscious by his brother. The 14-year-old was immediately rushed to the hospital where he was later pronounced dead. The one chip had apparently claimed its first victim. But how exactly? Harris's death was absolutely shocking to those at the school who knew him, and the circumstances surrounding it were a complete mystery to most people. That was until the family of Harris created a GoFundMe, which shared the details of what happened and the chip. The GoFundMe page would state, "On September 1st, my Aunt Lois's young son, Harris, passed away unexpectedly at the age of 14 from what we suspect to be complications due to the one-chip challenge. Autopsy pending. The pain our family is experiencing is unimaginable. Harris was a light that lit up the room with his presence and subtle charm. He was an intelligent, quirky, and incredibly talented young man who loved video games."
You know, I know y'all feel the same sadness and RP for them. Because if that happened to one of y'all family members and they died off of just the one chip challenge, y'all be so mad and y'all probably might end up suing the one chip challenge company. Y'all might end up suing them.
Basketball. Our family is planning to lay Harris to rest in the coming weeks, so I'm hoping that with the help of this compassionate community, we can raise enough funds to alleviate the burden of funeral expenses for his parents and siblings during this incredibly difficult time. Thank you in advance for your support. Your compassion and kindness resonate profoundly with us. With love, the Lama and Woloba family. With the Pocky element now public, media reports were linking the one-chip challenge to a death for the first time, and Pocky was put on notice. Harris's death and the allegation resulted in massive backlash for the one-chip manufacturer, whose branding included many macabre elements such as skulls and allusions to death. Their website header also had some death-associated iconography and messaging, such as the motto, "How long can you last before you spiral out?" In the wake of recent events, that rather grim motto was deleted, along with other edgy marketing mottos.
You're not supposed to not drink any coldness or eat any ice cream or ice for an hour. Now, if you go the whole day without eating or drinking anything cold to relieve the pain, you're done. You're just a stupid person if you're just going to let that heat just boil up in your stomach for over an hour.
A full-blown panic ensued as parents around the U.S. demanded the product to be removed from stores in an effort to protect their children. Pocky seemingly complied with the brand issuing a full product recall out to retailers and offering refunds to customers who requested them. Meanwhile, Harris's mother would speak to the media. She was fully convinced that the chip was the reason behind her boy's death and wanted the one chip to be fully discontinued.
What do you want to happen in terms of that chip company?
I wanted to be shut down.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, mother.
Happen to anybody.
And it seemed the brand itself actually agreed with the calls for their product to be discontinued, with a spokesman stating, quote, "While the Pocky One Chip Challenge is intended for adults only, we have seen an increase in teen usage of the product. We care about all of our customers and have made the decision to remove the product from shelves." Some of you might be wondering, so the Pocky brand is just going to give everything up and close up their entire operation just because of this controversy? At the time, Pocky was actually nothing more than a brand under the Hershey Company. Hershey acquired Pocky through the acquisition of another company, Amplify Snacks, back in 2018. So you might imagine, you got a company like Hershey that has countless amounts of income streams. Yeah, they would be more than happy to nuke this silly chip brand that could possibly land them in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Months later, in May of 24, the autopsy report for Harris's body had been completed and confirmed the Pocky One chip played a role, specifically myocardial bridging of the left anterior descending coronary artery. Myocardial bridging occurs when a segment of a major heart artery runs through a heart muscle instead of on the surface of it. Ischemic conditions, as there is now constant pressure being exerted on the walls of the artery because it's surrounded by muscle. At least that's my understanding of the disorder. Dr. James Udelson, who is chief of cardiology at Tufts Medical Center, had this to say in regard to Harris's case and how the chip could have caused an ischemic episode leading to death. Quote, "It's possible that with significant stimulation of the heart, the muscle be..." Basically, the doc saying that, the capsaicin put stress on his heart, and this combined with the pre-existing congenital issue, it could have caused a ischemic condition where there wasn't blood flow to the heart muscle, and he died. Whatever the case, after the autopsy confirmed the chip's involvement, the Pocky brand put out an additional statement. Quote, "We were and remain deeply saddened by the death of Harris Wolaba and extend our condolences to his family and friends. Pocky's One Chip Challenge was intended for adults only, with clear and prominent labeling highlighting that the product was not for children or anyone sensitive to spicy foods or with underlying health conditions. We saw increased reports of teens and other individuals not heeding these warnings. The Pocky brand and its One Chip Challenge would be quietly discontinued in 2024. Despite the brand's efforts at preventing legal issues, in July of 2024, Harris's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against them, which included Hershey's, who owned the Pocky brand, and Walgreens, a retail store known for commonly stocking the product. This is certainly one of the most bizarre deaths linked to a popular internet challenge, and sadly, like many others that we've discussed, it involved a teenager. Death by planking. One of the earliest viral internet-based challenges was planking, a grassroots online fad of...
How is there a challenge called planking? I've never heard that challenge. Like, I'm telling y'all, I've never heard that challenge. Planking? Are you telling me, is it a planking where you just sit on something like a plank and just lay straight across of something and that boom, you beat the challenge?
Ad of sorts involving people laying flat or planking on top of an object, snapping a photo of this action, and then sharing it to social media or forums for attention. It started off as nothing more than a quirky, look how random and weird I am kind of thing, but later evolved into something of a competition. Before long, the web was becoming populated with photos of individuals planking in dangerous positions, taking what began as an innocuous and fun
fun trend to something far more concerning, which leads us to the story of 20-year-old Acton Beale of Brisbane, Australia. Acton had been introduced to the concept of planking sometime in May of 2011 by a friend of his. This friend has been described by some as a planking expert and formed an online group that was solely dedicated to one-upping each other with crazy planking photos. On Facebook, they called themselves the Brisbane Planking Association, or BPA. Acton would be indoctrinated into the group and would also find himself testing fate with his own risky planks. On the night of May 14th of 2011, Acton had gone out drinking with his buddies. During this romp, they made sure to plank around various areas of Brisbane in what they likely saw as drunken yet harmless fun. But their escapade took a dark turn around 4:30 in the morning. Acton, heavily inebriated, was hanging out on an apartment balcony located at an inner-city apartment block on Kangaroo Point's Main Street. And it's here that he decides to attempt his most dangerous plank yet. He climbed onto the balcony railing, laid face down on it, and stretched out into planking position, balancing his body weight across it. However, this proved to be a catastrophic mistake, as moments after assuming the position, the man lost his balance and rolled off the railing, plummeting down 7 stories and slamming onto the asphalt below. Paramedics were immediately called and attempted to resuscitate Acton for nearly 20 minutes, but unfortunately...
From that height that you told me, there's no way you're surviving that. There's no way you're surviving it. You're not surviving that. You're not. Like, the height he been at, he already been dead. He already been dead from the start.
But unfortunately, he succumbed to his injury and was soon pronounced dead.
The first death by planking was now in the books.
There's a difference between a harmless bit of fun done somewhere that's really safe and taking a risk with your...
Sadly, those who knew Acton had little time to grieve. Not long after his death, the incident was being reported about worldwide. Media outlets were covering the story, making a public mockery out of Acton's case due to it being connected to the viral planking trend.
Instead of sympathy, the attitude towards Acton...
That's the reason why so many business are going down and shutting down because of the TikTok trends. And because so much people are doing the TikTok trends because they see what the first person who did the trend do, so they're gonna say, oh, let's keep that challenge keep going. And then y'all really shutting down businesses, shutting down hotels, and having people losing their job and can't even feed their family and stuff because y'all are doing dumb things, want them to lose their job and stuff.
Acton's death was often mockery and a fuck around and find out style sentiment.
Some on the internet even insinuated that it was a good thing that Acton had died. You know, because they thought what he did was so stupid. I wish this would happen to more people who plank. The gene pool is cleansed a little bit. I feel no sympathy for this man. He was killed by his own stupidity. A Facebook tribute page was put up for Acton, though it got quickly shut down due to the plethora of hateful comments and derisive messages it was receiving from malicious trolls who were apparently fatigued by the planking fad. As a final note and really insult to injury, Acton was given the dishonor of receiving the 2011 Darwin Award by DarwinAwards.com, a website that has given awards every year since 1993 to people who have taken themselves out of the gene pool doing something stupid. Looks like Acton fit the bill. Next, we'll move to a growing challenge trend that's currently going on TikTok, which is beginning to claim the lives of young people. The table surfing death. On June 1st of 25 at around 1:30 a.m., 17-year-old David Nagy was in the midst of filming said challenge, with him surfing on a folding table that was tied to the back of his friend's car. The stunt taking place in the Freedom High School parking lot in Northampton County, Pennsylvania. As you might imagine, catastrophe struck in this case. The driver accelerated, which caused David to whip around and subsequently slam into a parked vehicle. According to reports, David sustained blunt force trauma to the head and died on impact.
Wait a minute, y'all. I think what he's saying is they tied a rope to the car and tied a rope to the plane, right? And then his friend was surfing on the plane, like what they do when you hang glide from the boat or something, or jet ski. but you're in the water. So if you hit the water, you're safe, and you're in the air. So you got a parachute. So they thought if they could do it on an actual rover or car and wooden board, it will be the same thing, and you won't die by it.
The teenager responsible for driving was arrested and charged with involuntary manslaughter. Though David's parents are actually close with the driver's family and are pushing for this person not to be jailed. Because of this, the district attorney isn't seeking jail time. That is, if the driver accepts a plea deal and registers in the district's first-time offender program. If this is completed, it's reported that the incident will be wiped from public record. Table surfing has become quite a common sight as of recently online, and platforms like TikTok are getting a lot of flack for the existence of it. Though according to the company, they're doing just about everything they can to suppress this particular challenge. A TikTok spokesperson has put out a statement regarding table and car surfing, claiming videos involving the act are in violation of their community guidelines. They say that 99.8% of these videos are removed almost instantly by algorithms, with only a few of them slipping through the cracks. At the end of the day, it's difficult to stop teens from being reckless. But I think with this next challenge, youth cannot be used as an excuse. This is downright idiotic no matter how young you are. The no lacking challenge. The no lacking challenge is probably one of the most brazen in today's coverage. It involves two friends, or even rivals, who will test each other's readiness for armed conflict. If you're caught lacking, that means you don't have a firearm on you. So the way this works is the challenger pulls up on somebody with a gun drawn, and then they're like, "Are you lacking?" And to pass the challenge, the other guy is supposed to pull out their concealed firearm.
What you mean is, it's like in the game where if one of your rival in the game come and see you lacking, they shoot you. But in this challenge, it's like this. If you got a gun and you pull up on one of your friends who don't got their weapon, then that means you're lacking and you're not supposed to shoot them, right? But I think someone may have accidentally pulled a trigger on them and shot them. Let's see.
Firearm and be like, "Nah, I'm not lacking," and then the challenge is complete. Yes, I know, it's really black-pilling and fucking stupid.
That's not
so if
bad.
you're caught lacking, that means
challenge.
you don't have a firearm in your possession, and you just got exposed for not being prepared, I guess. Now, it goes without saying, pointing potentially loaded guns at other people for social media attention is extremely problematic. And there have been multiple instances where the no lacking challenge has ended up in people getting shot. Really? I never would have guessed. One instance involved two friends pulling out guns on each other inside of a moving car. And when said car hit a speed bump, one participant accidentally pulled their trigger, leading to the associate getting shot in the face.
Wait a minute.
We're playing this game.
The lacking challenge, you're not supposed to actually shoot them. You're supposed to pull the weapon out, and they pulled the weapon out, and they were lacking. You're supposed to say, "You're lacking, right? You're lacking." Or someone pulled the gun out, you pull them out and say, "I'm not lacking, I ain't lacking," and then boom, that's the challenge over. We're not supposed to shoot them.
This game while going down the road, they crossed over the railroad tracks on FM 149 in Richards. When they crossed over the tracks, they hit the bump on the tracks, which caused the firearm to discharge, striking the victim in the face.
Another no lacking disaster happened when a 17-year-old got shot in the head at a restaurant while two people were participating in the challenge.
Early Thursday morning, a 17-year-old was shot in the head at East Cafe on Union Avenue. According to this affidavit, 21-year-old Sherman Lackland was sitting in a booth with two people he knew playing the no lacking challenge when Lackland reportedly accidentally shot his friend.
A real loud bang, and then I seen the guy sitting across from him fall on the floor.
The most notable gun-related disaster allegedly associated with the no lacking challenge occurred in Houston, Texas on December 11th of 2018. 19-year-old Christian Johnson was at his home, hanging out with his friend Muhammad Alajil. Both were allegedly participating in the no lacking challenge, but as they brandished their weapons, something went awry. It's reported that Christian had his AR-15 pointed at Muhammad, while Muhammad directed a semi-automatic pistol at Christian's head. The friendly challenge turned disastrous, though, as Muhammad pulled the trigger at some point.
No, wait a minute. So you're saying, tell me, the other two were just an accident? I can see the other two just being an accidental death from the challenge. Now, the third thing from the challenge is a real game shootout. So they were actually blow each other brain out on purpose.
Shooting Christian direct afterwards. Muhammad was arrested and charged with second-degree manslaughter. While police have asserted that the no-lacking challenge is what led up to this killing, Christian's family have protested this, arguing that the courts are being too easy on Muhammad and that it was no game gone wrong. They say that the guy was trying to rob Christian. Christian's sister would say, quote, "I think he should be charged with first-degree murder. He planned to come into my house and kill and rob my brother." Muhammad, a Syrian citizen, was actually out on...
So, Muhammad wasn't really doing the challenge with his friend. He was planning to kill him, then rob him after killing him. So he just said, hey, let's do a no lacking challenge. So he can kill him and rob him? Wow, Muhammad?
Out on bond for an armed robbery charge before he had allegedly killed Christian. His new bond is currently set at $250,000.
Wrap it up for this one. If you find this helpful, hit that subscribe circle right in the top corner so you don't miss next week's drop. If you want to dive deeper into this topic, I put together a full playlist right here. Otherwise, you do things you love, this special video down here.
Misunderstood, so misunderstood. My temper is bad, my mission is good. I never be labeled as good. I never be labeled as mentally stable.